Hey, Maria, back with another video, and I am laying in bed getting ready to fall asleep, and I wanted to kind of do another video. I was thinking about religion today because I did that video about Jehovah's Witnesses, and I was thinking about, what has lured me into the study of different religions throughout my life. And like I said, when I was younger, I had always had an interest in God and the unknown, I guess. It fascinated me on many levels, and I guess for the most of my life I was pretty much obsessed with things that related to learning about that, and different religions kind of like, put the pieces of puzzles together, I guess. The pieces together, that kind of help me understand things and kind of expand my mind on those topics a little bit more. But I was thinking about mind power today because my father was very intelligent. He was extremely bright. He was a very bright individual, and I think his mental strengths were something to be admired. As far as his analytical and reasoning skills were very, very keen, and I believe that I've kind of inherited that from him. But I also think that another form of mind power was given to me from my mother's side of the family. From what my mother says of her family, I believe that certain forms of intuition are more heightened with me because of my mom's side of the family. She's told me, stories about her sisters having dreams or seeing, having the ability to see things that other people couldn't see. I believe perhaps maybe spiritual beings or whatever, and I believe my mother said that one of her sisters was born with a caul over her eye. This is like a thin layer of skin that, I guess, some people have this superstition that if you are born with it, then you have some sort of gift to see into the future. Now, I don't have all of that, but I will say, as a child, I did have a lot of, experiences, that I would say would kind of be on the borderline of paranormal. Like in my mom's house, we have these, like the house settles, it makes that noise in the middle of the night. I always knew that I got cold, and then it was like this weird shiver went up in my spine, and I got really cold, and then I would just kind of shake and jump in the bed, and then right after that, the house would settle. And I noticed it was always, it was like weird sequences. And I do recall having like things like, they call it OBEs, out-of-body experiences, astral projections. I could go on and about these bizarre experiences that I had throughout my life. And, it's what makes me me. A lot of people have these issues and they really don't talk about it, because they fear what other people are going to say about them, but it's actually, I would say, not everybody's like this, but I think that everybody could have, or probably has, some form of it. But the reason why they don't really tune into their intuition is because they're so, distracted most of the time with things that just prevents them from like perceiving things. Like, for example, if you were to, some people fast to get to a certain state to where they can kind of open their mind up and expand it a little bit more, so they can perceive things that really aren't there as much, I don't know how to really explain it, but I'm very glad that I am the way that I am. I think it's kind of a gift, and I'm very, very grateful for it. And it's unfortunate that, this whole gang stalking thing happened, because, I really do believe that my mother's side of the family could provide some sort of more insight for me because I'm very interested in knowing more about, just how far back this special gift goes. But unfortunately, I've cut everybody off, which kind of sucks. But, I try to ask my mom questions about it when I see her, but I don't know. I guess she doesn't really see it as interested, or she doesn't seem to have as much of an interest in it as I do, because maybe I'm the one who has to live with it, I guess. I don't know, but it's too bad, because I'm very, very curious about, more of it, I've tried to sharpen it, but it doesn't seem to. I don't have control over that. It's kind of like I've heard some people who want to have astral projection experiences. They can practice certain exercises to make astral projection occur deliberately. I have never been able to do it deliberately. It has always been something that happens, spontaneously. I haven't done it in many years. The last time I've had an astral experience, I believe, that I remember, I think it was in 2011. So it seems like the older I get, the less I experience astral projection. But when I was a teenager, it was quite common. I mean, I would be so afraid that I would try to sleep in my sister's bedroom, because it kind of freaked me out, having to deal with that stuff. But anyway, YouTube for me is like kind of a journal, so I can just look back and say, see what was going on in my mind and what I was thinking about at the time. Like 10 years from now, I just want to see, how things turned out, I guess. So, but yeah, I mean, I do believe in the unseen, and I do believe that it exists, and many religions talk about it existing. Some people call this the gift of prophecy. I can't say I can prophesy in the way where, like, I could tell you what's going to happen in the future. I don't have those abilities, because if I did, I certainly wouldn't have, like, been, stuck being baited. I wouldn't have been able to tell that these people were fake in the first place. But I will say that, I have a good way of, I guess what they call it, maybe like clairvoyant or something along those lines. Anyway, there's so many different versions of that, or branches of the different ways of perceiving things. But anyway, yeah, that's just who I am. I can't help but have an interest in things that relate to that. I'm not as deeply involved in that anymore, because I think I've learned that some of that stuff is just not a good thing to dabble into. But I will say that I did experiment with things like, I experimented with Ouija boards, tarot cards, things like that, and I think some things are portals to, or gateways that open up things that you'd rather not open up. There's a lot of people who experience things, or I know when I was younger, I used to experience weird things, or unwanted things at night. Sometimes you could maybe watch something in your house or whatever, and there you go. It kind of opens up a portal in a way, like watching certain things on TV, or bringing certain things into your house. Some objects have certain energies that could just set that sort of stuff off in your house. It's kind of hard for me to go into it. I mean, when you really talk about weird phenomena and experiences like that, it's something that, it's best to do, maybe over a cup of tea, or you got to have time. Certainly can't really cover all that stuff with a camera that's only going to record for 20 minutes. By the way, the countdown is like, I got like 11 minutes left on this. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are drawn to spirituality, or things that relate to serving God, or being close to those sort of things, mysticism or whatever, from the get-go. I think some people are just born, such as myself, some people are born with this desire to be in a constant state of meditation or connection with a source. And that's why some people do become nuns. Some people become monks. Some people, whatever they do, they just feel this need to live their life out through that. And I've had people suggest stupid things like, well, I don't really think it's stupid. I just think some people see things differently than I do. I've had some people say, well, maybe you should, be a theologian, or maybe you should get into, I remember this one guy, he was like from the law enforcement, he was like, why don't you be like a private investigator to solve, I'm not like that, okay, I'm not like Sylvia Brown or any of these people who claim, I don't know, sure, but I'm not, it's not like that, not with me, I wouldn't say that I have those abilities, I don't, just sometimes it's really hard to explain, it's too bizarre, I can't even really articulate it, but it's there, and that explains my reason for delving into religion and wanting to make sure that I was, on my path, or finding a path that made sense to me. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video, and I'm sorry that it's so sloppy, but it is a very difficult thing to try to explain, like on a little camera on such a short, limited time, but it's just who I am, I can't change that. You can't change who you are, and I can't believe things that I don't believe. I can't align with something that I don't believe. I just can't do that. I just think that there's certain people who are born that have this desire to be the way that they are, and that's one of the reasons why they don't really, I wouldn't say fit in, but they don't seem to be like the rest of everyone else. Not that everyone else is bad. It's just that they just tend to, they enjoy the solitude of the source of, I guess, the connection that they have with God or whatever, and they prefer, I prefer anyway, I prefer a spiritual life is what I prefer, and instead of being like worldly, I guess, maybe, but that's not to say that I don't want to have like relationships. Of course I do. I want to have friends. It would be great to have girlfriends, I like to shop. I like to, make things. I like constructive friendships. I wouldn't want to hang out with a bunch of chicks that just want to, stab people in the back and plot against them or anything like that. I'm not like that. I want well-rounded relationships, and they are very hard to find. But I guess maybe I just have like really high standards. But I guess when you've been in my shoes, you know that it's very difficult to trust people, because I know how people really are, and it's not good. So it's very hard to find quality people. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video, and I hope you have a wonderful evening. Good night. Bye-bye.